Deep in the Mediterranean Sea, more than 5,000 sailors are working around the clock on the world's largest warship. But right now, the most critical mission isn't launching fighter jets or defending national security. It's feeding everyone on board. Every single day, culinary specialists prepare over 17,000 meals in kitchens that never sleep. The grocery bill? Over $60,000 daily. One mistake in this floating city could leave thousands of personnel without fuel for their bodies. And when you're operating a $13 billion aircraft carrier, hunger isn't an option. This is the untold story of the most challenging kitchen operation on Earth. The USS Gerald R. Ford is not just the largest aircraft carrier in the United States Navy. It's the largest warship ever constructed in human history. Stretching 1,106 feet long and displacing 100,000 tons, this nuclear-powered giant carries up to 90 aircraft and houses nearly 5,500 people during full deployment. While most people focus on its cutting-edge fighter jets and advanced radar systems, there's an equally impressive operation happening several decks below the flight deck. The ship's culinary team faces a challenge that would overwhelm most professional chefs. They must prepare approximately 17,300 meals every single day, serving breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a fourth meal called midrats for the midnight crew. The food must meet strict nutritional standards, accommodate religious restrictions and allergies, and still taste good enough to keep morale high during deployments that can last over 7 months. The kitchens operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with zero room for error. If you have respect for the dedication of our Navy culinary specialists, type proud in the comments below. The scale of the operation. To understand just how massive this operation is, let's break down the daily food consumption on the USS Gerald R. Ford. Every single day, the culinary team prepares 1,600 pounds of meat. That's nearly 3/4 of a ton of chicken, beef, pork, and fish. They go through 350 pounds of lettuce, 160 gallons of milk, and 30 cases of cereal. And the sailors? They consume roughly 20,000 cups of coffee daily. That's enough caffeine to keep a small city awake. The planning behind these numbers is meticulous. Navy nutritional standards require that male personnel receive 2,850 calories per day, while female personnel receive 2,100 calories. These aren't arbitrary numbers. They're carefully calculated based on the physical demands of working on an aircraft carrier, where sailors might climb steep ladders dozens of times per shift, work in extreme heat near jet engines, or spend hours maintaining critical equipment. But here's where it gets really interesting. The ship doesn't just stock food for a few days. During deployment, the USS Gerald R. Ford stores enough supplies to operate independently for extended periods. The storage areas hold hundreds of thousands of pounds of food at any given time. Fresh fruits, vegetables, frozen meats, dry goods, and emergency rations are all carefully organized in temperature-controlled spaces throughout the ship. Every 7 to 10 days, massive supply ships pull alongside the carrier while both vessels are moving at sea. Using a system of cables and pulleys, they transfer between 400,000 to 700,000 pounds of food from the supply ship to the carrier. This process, called underway replenishment, happens regardless of weather conditions. Rain, wind, or rough seas, the food must get through. The culinary team. Now you might be wondering who's responsible for managing this enormous operation. The answer is a dedicated team of 114 Navy culinary specialists who work in rotating shifts to ensure the kitchens never stop. These aren't ordinary cooks. Every single one of them has undergone intensive training at the Navy's Culinary Specialist School at Fort Lee, Virginia. The training is rigorous and comprehensive. These sailors learn advanced knife skills, large-scale food preparation techniques, food safety protocols, and how to operate industrial equipment that most civilian chefs have never even seen. They work with 80-gallon stock pots, multi-tiered industrial ovens, and tilting skillets that can cook hundreds of portions simultaneously. But the training goes beyond cooking. These culinary specialists are also trained in combat readiness. When General Quarters is called, meaning the ship is preparing for potential combat, every person on board has a specific battle station. The cooks must be ready to drop everything, secure the galley, and report to their assigned positions. Sometimes, sailors waiting in the chow line have to abandon their meals and rush to their stations. It's part of life on a warship where readiness always comes first. The team operates under extreme pressure. Each cook is responsible for preparing approximately 150 meals per day. They work in spaces that vibrate constantly from the ship's movement, and the thunder of jets launching from the flight deck directly above them. The heat in the galley can be intense, especially when multiple ovens and grills are running simultaneously. And unlike a restaurant where you might close for a few hours, these galleys never shut down. But the most challenging part isn't the volume or the heat. It's what happens when something goes wrong. And on a ship this size, equipment failures are inevitable. What do you do when an oven breaks down and you have 2,000 people expecting breakfast in 2 hours? The answer will surprise you. Menu planning and variety. One of the biggest challenges for the culinary team is preventing menu fatigue. When you're at sea for months at a time, eating the same meals repeatedly can seriously damage morale. That's why Navy culinary specialists create rotating menu cycles that last 14 to 21 days before repeating. This means the team must master hundreds of different recipes and be prepared to execute them with military precision. The menus aren't random. They're carefully designed to balance nutrition, variety, and comfort. Breakfast might include made-to-order omelets, fresh pancakes, bacon, sausage, and occasionally special treats like donuts or sweet rolls. These special items tend to disappear within minutes, and sailors know that arriving early to the chow line makes all the difference. Lunch and dinner rotate through American classics, international cuisine, and regional specialties. On any given day, you might find barbecue ribs, Italian pasta dishes, Asian stir-fry, Mexican-inspired meals, or traditional American pot roast. The culinary team also celebrates holidays with special menus. Thanksgiving aboard an aircraft carrier is a production that involves roasting hundreds of turkeys and preparing traditional side dishes for every single person on board. Religious and dietary restrictions add another layer of complexity. The team must accommodate kosher, halal, vegetarian, and vegan requirements while also managing an increasingly long list of food allergies. Every meal service must include options for personnel who can't eat certain ingredients due to medical or religious reasons. Before we dive deeper, please take a second to like this video and subscribe. Over 98% of viewers watch without subscribing. It costs you nothing but makes a huge difference to us. The sourcing of ingredients also varies depending on where the carrier is operating. When the USS Gerald R. Ford deployed to the Mediterranean in 2023, the culinary team worked with suppliers in countries like Norway, Croatia, and Spain to bring fresh local ingredients on board. This not only provides variety, but also gives sailors a taste of the regions where they're serving. The daily rhythm. Life in the galley follows a precise rhythm that never stops. The day begins long before sunrise. The breakfast crew reports to their stations around 3:30 a.m. to begin prep work. By 6 a.m., the mess decks are open for service, and the first wave of sailors starts filing through. The mess deck itself is set up like a large cafeteria, but instead of a single line, there are multiple serving stations to keep things moving efficiently. Sailors grab a tray and silverware, then move through the line making their selections. The serving style is designed for speed. With thousands of people to feed and limited seating space, the goal is to keep everyone moving while still providing a quality meal. The line often stretches through multiple compartments and up steep ladders. Sailors learn quickly that timing matters. Arriving right when the mess deck opens usually means shorter waits, while showing up during peak times can mean standing in line for 30 minutes or more. And remember, these sailors are often coming off long, exhausting shifts. They're hungry, tired, and looking forward to a hot meal before heading to their racks for sleep. After breakfast service ends around 9 a.m., the culinary team doesn't get a break. They immediately begin preparing for lunch while simultaneously cleaning and restocking from breakfast. Lunch service runs from approximately 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., followed by dinner from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Then comes midrats, the midnight meal service for sailors working the night shift. Midrats presents its own unique challenges. The crew working overnight still needs substantial, nutritious food, but the kitchen operates with a smaller team during these hours. The menu during midrats is often simpler, featuring comfort foods that can be prepared in large batches and kept warm for extended periods. Throughout all of this, the culinary specialists are also managing continuous food preparation for the next meal. Bread is baked fresh daily. Vegetables are cleaned and chopped. Meats are thawed, seasoned, and prepared. The workflow is orchestrated like a complex dance where everyone must know their role and execute it perfectly. Challenges and solutions. Running the world's largest floating kitchen comes with unique challenges that most civilian chefs will never face. Equipment failures are a constant concern. When you're operating industrial ovens, grills, and refrigeration units around the clock, things break down. The difference is that you can't just call a repair service when you're hundreds of miles from the nearest port. The ship's engineering team works closely with the culinary specialists to keep equipment running, but sometimes creative solutions are needed. If one oven goes down during a critical meal prep, the team must redistribute the cooking load across other equipment while still hitting their timing marks. There's no option to delay service. The sailors need to eat on schedule so they can return to their duty stations. Weather conditions add another layer of difficulty. When the carrier is operating in rough seas, the entire ship pitches and rolls. Try flipping pancakes or working with hot oil when the floor beneath you is moving unpredictably. The culinary specialists develop sea legs quickly, learning to brace themselves and time their movements with the ship's motion. Food waste management is taken seriously. On a vessel this size, you can't just throw garbage overboard. Everything must be carefully sorted, processed, and stored until it can be properly disposed of during port visits or transferred to support ships. The culinary team works hard to minimize waste by accurately predicting portions and repurposing leftovers when possible. Morale plays a crucial role in everything the culinary team does. These sailors understand that a good meal can be the highlight of someone's day, especially during long, stressful deployments. When the USS Gerald R was deployed to the Eastern Mediterranean in late 2023 to support regional stability operations, the sailors were working extended hours under increased operational tempo. The culinary team responded by adding extra special touches to meals, creating care packages for personnel who couldn't make it to the mess deck, and organizing special events around holidays. The team also handles special requests when possible. Birthdays are celebrated with cakes made fresh in the ship's bakery. Promotion ceremonies might include special desserts. These small gestures matter enormously when you're living in a metal box in the middle of the ocean, thousands of miles from home and family. Training and excellence. The Navy takes culinary training seriously because they understand that food directly impacts combat readiness. A well-fed crew is more alert, has better morale, and performs their duties more effectively. The culinary specialists aboard the USS Gerald R. aren't just cooking to fill stomachs. They're contributing directly to the ship's overall mission effectiveness. New culinary specialists arriving on board face a steep learning curve. The scale of operations is unlike anything they've experienced in training.
Yes, sir.
Even those who worked in high-volume civilian kitchens find themselves overwhelmed initially. Senior petty officers mentor these newcomers, teaching them the specific workflows, recipes, and procedures used aboard the carrier. The Navy also runs competitions to foster excellence. The Captain Edward F. Ney Memorial Award recognizes the best food service operations across the entire Navy. Ships compete for this honor, and winning requires sustained excellence in food quality, nutrition, sanitation, and customer service. The USS Gerald R. Ford's culinary team has consistently performed at the highest levels, demonstrating that even in the most challenging environment, excellence is achievable. Cross-training is another important aspect. While each culinary specialist has a primary role, they're also trained in other positions. This flexibility is essential when personnel get sick, injured, or pulled away for other duties. Someone trained primarily in baking might need to jump in on the grill line during an emergency. This versatility is what keeps the operation running smoothly even when unexpected problems arise. The culinary specialists also receive ongoing education about nutrition, new cooking techniques, and food safety updates. The Navy continuously refines its food service programs based on feedback from sailors, advances in nutritional science, and lessons learned from deployments. The bigger picture. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, the culinary operation aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford represents something remarkable. It's a testament to American ingenuity, military precision, and the dedication of sailors who chose to serve their country in a role that often goes unrecognized. These culinary specialists are part of a proud tradition stretching back to the earliest days of naval warfare. Feeding sailors at sea has always been one of the most critical aspects of maritime operations. The famous saying that an army marches on its stomach applies equally to naval forces. You can have the most advanced aircraft, the most sophisticated weapon systems, and the best trained pilots in the world. But if your crew isn't properly fed, operational effectiveness crumbles. The USS Gerald R. Ford's culinary operation also serves as a powerful example of what's possible when you combine proper training, adequate resources, and dedicated personnel. The fact that this team can consistently deliver high-quality meals to thousands of people in one of the most challenging environments imaginable deserves recognition and respect. For the sailors serving aboard the carrier, the mess deck is more than just a place to eat. It's a gathering point, a brief respite from demanding duty schedules, and a reminder of home. The smells of fresh-baked bread, the taste of a well-prepared meal, and the camaraderie shared over food all contribute to the sense of community that makes long deployments bearable. Our military personnel sacrifice so much to keep America safe. They spend months away from their families, work in challenging conditions, and perform their duties with professionalism and dedication. The culinary specialists who keep them fed are an essential part of that mission, and their contribution to naval readiness cannot be overstated. The next time you sit down for a meal in your home, take a moment to think about the sailors aboard ships like the USS Gerald R. Ford. While you're eating in comfort, there's somewhere on the world's oceans, standing watch, protecting American interests, and yes, lining up in the chow line for a meal prepared by their fellow sailors in a kitchen that never sleeps. Conclusion. The USS Gerald R. Ford's culinary operation is more than just an impressive logistical achievement. It's a vital component of American naval power, executed by dedicated professionals who take pride in their work and understand their critical role in the ship's mission. From the 3:30 a.m. breakfast prep to the midnight meal service, these sailors keep the world's largest warship running by ensuring that every crew member has access to nutritious, quality food. The next time someone talks about military might, remember that it's built on countless small details executed with excellence. Feeding 500 people at sea, day after day, is one of those details. If this video gave you a new appreciation for our Navy culinary specialists, hit that like button and subscribe for more content honoring the incredible work of our armed forces.